Why your team doesn't take ownership and how to fix it. This is what we'll be talking about today on How to Lead, the podcast for CEOs, founders and leaders who want some clear tools, techniques and strategies to help them lead well so their teams thrive and results follow. I'm Kate Waterfall Hill, a leadership coach with hands-on experience in board-level roles for numerous businesses, agencies and consultancies for over 30 years. If you like my take on leadership but would like more support to actually put my ideas into practice, have a look at my website. There's a lot there to help you take the next step. waterfallhill.co.uk. You can book a call or ask me a question via an online form to see if we're a good fit. Or if you're the sort of person who takes action and gets moving, you can book a place on the Leadership Accelerator or get immediate access to one of my online courses at the click of a button. If you've listened to my earlier episode, number 40, on accountability, you'll know I talk about clarity, follow-through, and creating a culture where people take responsibility without fear or blame. And this episode builds on that idea, but it zooms in much closer. Because when leaders talk to me about ownership, what they're often really describing isn't a team problem, it's a load problem. The leader themselves is carrying too much. They're catching what others don't. They're the final safety net, everything that matters. And over time, that simply gets exhausting. And it's the hidden burden of low ownership. When teams don't take ownership, the impact isn't just missed deadlines or messy projects. It shows up like this. Leaders working late to just tidy things up a bit, or leaders rereading emails at night, wondering whether to step in. Leaders feeling permanently on edge because if they don't notice something, no one else will. I hear this a lot with my clients, particularly those in agencies and consultancies. One founder said to me, "I feel like the human quality assurance system for the entire business." Another told me, "I can't ever fully switch off because things only move if I'm involved." And this just simply isn't sustainable leadership. It's quiet burnout. And there's an uncomfortable truth. Most teams haven't suddenly become careless or disengaged. They've adapted. Which brings us neatly to Linda. Linda will happily tell you that no one takes ownership anymore. She says it with a sigh, sometimes a joke. And here's her skit to illustrate the point. I keep saying I want the team to take more ownership. Yeah, absolutely. But then somebody brings me some creative work and I think, oh gosh, no, that's not quite right. Not how I would have done it. So I end up fixing it. What's the impact of that? Well, they probably stop trying, knowing that I will fix it or I'll change it in some way because that's just how I work. So I suppose it's not really worth their while taking ownership, accountability or responsibility for anything because I'll only interfere. And so we go round again. How am I going to get out of that cycle? Goodness knows. So there you go, usually while rewriting the proposal herself, tweaking the deck at midnight or jumping into a client email, just to be safe. Poor Linda is tired. She feels indispensable. She also doesn't notice how involved she still is in every single thing, even the things she claims to have delegated. She says she wants ownership, but she hasn't yet created the conditions for it to exist. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So when teams don't take ownership, leaders often assume it's a motivation problem or a capability issue, or why aren't these people better at their jobs? But usually it isn't a motivation or capability problem. It's a leadership design problem. Especially in organisations where things move fast, clients change their minds, budgets don't stretch as far as anyone would like. Leaders fall into some very predictable habits. And over time, those habits quietly train teams not to own things. You might recognise one of these. Perhaps you step in too early. Something isn't quite right. The deck's a bit off. The proposal isn't landing how you hoped. So you fix it. Quickly. Quietly. So the work gets better, but the signal gets worse. The signal is, this isn't really yours. I'll take it from here. Over time, people stop owning outcomes and start waiting to be corrected. Ownership needs room to wobble. If everything is smoothed out instantly by the leader, responsibility by the people never sticks. Perhaps you notice this. You say, own it to your people, but actually you keep all the decisions yourself. Leaders often use the language of ownership while holding on to control. So you ask someone to run a project. Then you approve every decision. You tweak the wording. You adjust the timeline. You jump into those client emails. That's not shared ownership. That's supervised compliance. If someone genuinely owns something, they need decision space. Not total freedom, something about guardrails and boundaries, but real boundaries where they can think, decide, and learn. Number 3 is that you're maybe unclear, so people play it safe. When people aren't clear on what matters most, they default to caution. In agency life, that often looks like overchecking, slow progress, work that's technically fine, but oddly timid. That's not lack of initiative, it's lack of clarity. Clear outcomes give people confidence, and vague briefs create dependency. Then the 4th thing I see is that ownership only shows up when something's gone wrong. And if ownership only gets mentioned when a deadline slips or a client is unhappy, people associate it with blame. Real ownership lives in the structure of the work. Clear roles, clear outcomes, clear follow-ups. Not sighs or eye rolls, not frustration, not "I just expected you to." It's real clarity. So if you recognise yourself in this, either stepping in and rescuing early, keeping all the decisions yourself, not being clear so people tend to stay safe, or only talking about ownership when something's gone wrong, here's how to fix it. If you want more ownership, don't start by asking your team to care more. Start by changing the conditions they're working in. And just as there were 4 habits that quietly train your team not to take ownership, there are 4 ways that you can do it better. First of all, step back later, not sooner. If you're always the first person to notice something's off, pause before you fix it. Ask yourself, is this actually my moment to step in, or am I stealing the learning? Instead of correcting immediately, ask the other person what they've noticed. Let them talk through their thinking. And then agree what they'll do next, rather than doing it for them. Letting something wobble slightly isn't negligence, it's how people learn to hold the whole project or the whole task. Then give away real decisions, not just the tasks. If you want someone to own something, be explicit about what's theirs to decide. So you can actually say, you decide how we approach this client conversation, or you've got the final call on the structure of this proposal. Come to me if there's a real risk issue, otherwise I'll expect you to run with it. Ownership only works when decision rights are real. If everything needs your approval, you haven't actually delegated ownership. You've just delegated the activity. Then number 3 is to replace vague briefs with clear outcomes. I talk about this quite a lot. Clarity creates confidence. Before work starts, get specific about what good looks like, what matters most, what trade-offs are acceptable, and make clear the priorities. If you don't name the priority, people default to the safest option. Clear outcomes reduce overchecking and unlock better judgment. And then number 4, build ownership into the rhythm of the work. Don't wait until something goes wrong to talk about ownership. Make it part of how work runs day to day. Regular check-ins focused on progress and risks. Clear follow-up points where people update rather than get chased. Calm conversations when things slip. Focused on learning and adjustment. When ownership is normal, it doesn't feel risky, it feels expected. So having a think about those 4 areas that you could change the habit into something more positive. Have a think now with this closing reflection. If accountability is about follow-through, ownership is about belief. Belief that the work is genuinely theirs. Belief that they're trusted to handle it. Belief that mistakes won't trigger control or criticism. If you're carrying too much, that's not a personal failing, it's a signal. And often the most powerful leadership shift isn't pushing your team harder, it's actually stepping back more clearly. That's all for today's episode of How to Lead. Until next time, if you want to be less like Linda, keep leading with clarity, care, and curiosity. If you've enjoyed this episode, do follow for more leadership insights, and I'd love it if you could spare a moment to leave a review and share with your fellow leaders to help spread the word about the How to Lead podcast. And if you'd like my personal support, take a look at my website, waterfallhill.co.uk, and you'll find more information about my services there. The best leaders are clear on the vision, care about their people, and approach interactions with curiosity, not judgment. Until next time, don't be a Linda. Thanks for listening.